Well, in Miami Beach, the sky isn't falling, the oceans aren't rising, but the buildings are sinking. A place called Sunny Isles Beach in Miami, just north of Miami, called SIB for short. But they're building these tall, thin residential towers there. There's one called the Porsche Tower, in fact, which you can drive your Porsche or whatever car you've got into the garage in the lower part, and the elevator lifts your car up into your apartment so you can keep your car in your living room if you want. A study at the University of Miami has found out is they're sinking into the ground. Some of them are sinking up to 3 inches, sunk up to about 3 inches in the last 10 years. Sunny Isles Beach is a barrier island off the coast of Miami. Florida has a limestone bedrock with sand on the top of it. These buildings sit on the sand. The sand itself is not compressible. Sand is solid. Limestone is solid. As they're building more and more of these buildings, it's the construction vibration driving piles into the ground with vibrations, and it causes the sand to shake. It's causing the sand to settle down a little bit. The main cause of these buildings settling is the construction of adjacent buildings. The problem will be solved once the construction stops. Articles you read, they say, well, that combined with the rise of the oceans aren't rising. That's bullshit. They talk about the Champlain Towers, the condo that collapsed. Nothing to do with subsiding soil. It has to do with the corrosion of the rebar on the decks because it was constructed wrong. So they talk about these things. Oh, we got to conduct maintenance. You better contact your homeowners. Bottom line is this: the oceans aren't rising. Settlement of the sand is caused by the vibration of adjacent construction. Limestone's not a problem. The sand's not a problem. The building's not a problem. The ocean's rising is not a problem. The corrosion of the reinforcement is not a problem on these buildings. He gave a list of 35 buildings, including Trump Tower. If it's straightforward settlement when they're constructing, that's not a problem. But if it's uneven settlement, differential settlement, then the building can lean. It can cause some problems. None of these buildings have the problems. Sinking is not measurable except by the University of Miami did these satellites, these micro settlements on there, and they're making a big deal of it. Now, this is like microthelioma or the Roundup. This is an effort for lawyers to get rich. Contact your homeowners association. This is a big problem, so lawyers can make some money. I mean, when the Champlain Towers collapsed, the original designer long since passed away. The engineer who inspected it and warned everybody about it, his insurance company paid for the collapse, even though he had nothing to do with it. So if I were an engineer, I wouldn't get involved with these buildings. I wouldn't get involved with lawyers. Lawyers are crooks. They're generating this excitement about it in order to create some, get some cash flow, some attorneys. That's kind of the way they work. Not a crisis. The buildings aren't falling down. Try to get people worried. I mean, fear sells. Fear makes you pay some money for this thing. But if I were an engineer, I used to be an engineer. I was a structural and civil engineer for 40 years. I wouldn't go near those buildings because it's lawyers trying to get some cash. You lawyers have to go somewhere else to get your own money. And the other thing about Sunny Isles Beach is that it's a large Russian population. The largest Russian-speaking population outside Russia is in Sunny Isles Beach. I don't know what that means. From a structural engineering standpoint, the way you solve this problem, and it's not even really a problem. We're talking about some minor settlements. The way you solve this problem is stop construction because it's the vibration of the soils. That may be the impetus behind this whole study. After all, we want to stop construction because everybody wants to stop construction, even though we need housing and we need residential units.
Every second, every minute, man, I swear to